Good afternoon. Excuse me. My name is Stuart Hartman from Sioux City, Iowa. First, I'd like to thank you both for allowing a couple of Berkshire employees to migrate north to Sioux City. I work with Corey Wren and Mark Sisley, and they're both great guys. You did a terrific job training them. Mr. Buffett, you've known Bill Gates for several years and probably spent more time with him than any of us in this room. Would you feel
that isn't the case if Jeff Rakes is here? I don't know. Is Jeff here? Well, anyway, go ahead. But we did have a local fellow who comes from 30 miles from here, Jeff Rakes, who's a key Microsoft employee, and I think he's in town this weekend. I thought he was at the meeting. But
I didn't mean to make the broad generalization to be argumentative.
I just didn't want to think Jeff. I was trying to bustle him out.
Sure. That being said, I guess here's the way I'll rephrase this. Would you feel comfortable sharing with us how your relationship began, how it evolved with Mr. Gates, and with regard to his spirit and competitive nature, how vigorous do you expect him to defend his company's position against the government and state's current antitrust suit? And then for both of you, Mr. Munger included, what, in your opinion, are the odds that the government and the states will prevail and split his company into pieces? And then since Mr. Munger mentioned, I guess I'd ask, could we have an update on the company's silver position and its future as an investment as well? Thank you for opening that door.
Okay, well, he can close them too. Yeah, I really don't feel comfortable speaking for Bill at all in terms of what he's going to do. In fact, I think they've been out quite outspoken, he and Steve Ballmer both, about what Microsoft will do. So I don't want to try and rephrase that or modify it or do anything else, because they know what they're saying when they say it, and I would take them at their word, and I really shouldn't be adding anything to it. I met Bill because a very good friend of mine, Meg Greenfield, was the editorial page editor at the Post. She called me one time 10 or more years ago, and she said, Warren, she loved the state of Washington and had grown up out there. So she said, can I afford to buy a second home? She was living in Washington, D.C. now, and so she said, can I afford to buy a second home in Washington? And I said, and she said, I'll send you all my financial information. I said, Meg, you don't need to. Anybody that asks me whether they can afford something can afford it. It's the people that don't ask me, they never can afford it. So I said, just go do it, and it'll make you happy. And so she did. And then a year or two later, she wanted to have me come out and see what she'd done, with my mild encouragement. And so I went out there and visited. It was the July 4th weekend in 1991, and they had this parade on this island and everything she wanted me to see, and she had a few other people out too. And then she was a friend of Bill's parents, and so we went down there to the Hood Canal to visit them when I was back there to meet the parents. And I think Bill didn't want to come, but Kay Graham was coming in. He wanted to meet her. He didn't want to meet me. And so he came in, and then we hit it off immediately. We had a great time. And I mean, he had this chimpanzee to whom he was going to try and explain this technical stuff, but I was kind of an interesting chimpanzee to him. So he's a terrific teacher. So we spent a number of hours, and we just plain hit it off. And I found it very interesting what he had to say, and we've had a good time ever since. And we play bridge together and golf together, so I can tell you that he's quite competitive in those games. But I can't tell you anything about Microsoft or anything. I don't know that much about it. It wouldn't be right if I did know anything personal to be talking about it. Charlie, you know Bill.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to speak for anybody else either. I happen to be quite sympathetic to the Microsoft side of the pending antitrust case, but and regarding silver, all I can say is so far it's been a dull ride.